Right, there is much that you should try and understand here. Okay, we are at the end of the top section of Kuf Lamed Zayin. 2-3 lines before the end. Let's start 2 lines from the end. The line begins Sheho'etzem U'Behiri. And we are into the principle. How Oyer is totally representative and totally containing the significance and the power of the Etzem.
Or is totally what, Papa? Didn't hear.
The oil is, like the Etzem itself, contains completely the power and the significance of the Etzem itself. The difficulty we have with this is from many angles. The first is Etzem. What kind of being is that Etzem? We cannot conceptualize of Etzem. By us, in our orientation and what we are able to understand in sechel, is something that is a composite that was built to do something. Etzem is a completely different realm, a completely different reality. And we have a phenomenal mashal for this. But the mashal itself defies our understanding. This is where we're going to start. 2 lines from the other. Sheho'etzem hu behiri, that the etzem is behiri, is bright. Ve'ha'oyer meir, and the oyer is meir. And in that respect, the oyer is reflective, completely representative of what the etzem is, of the etzem. And again, we have to retranslate the word meir in a totally different manner than we're used to thinking of it. Meir means it illuminates. It makes it possible to see. And what do we see when we have light? We see that which in the darkness you can touch with your hand. It's not revealing something that is not there in a Mitzvah state.
You're saying that's what we might think?
Huh?
You're saying that's the way that we...
this is the way we perceive, yeah. What is it? What is a light?
You're saying that's the way we're accustomed to thinking of...
That's right. Accustomed, this is the limit of our understanding. Because we take things with sechel. Sechel is short. Sechel knows things by process. One brings the other, one brings another. There is not an etzem principle in sechel.
Even al pi sechel, doesn't it lend itself to readily recognize that with light we can see that which is not tangible as well?
The light is not tangible.
No, we see things which are not tangible. With the aid of light, we see things conceptually. And isn't that even al pi sechel?
Well, that's al pi sechel only if you make the sechel understand it. This is not our initial thought process. This is why it needs to be brought out. The whole, as I mentioned many times, and we cannot mention it enough times, the whole principle and concept of an etzem is a super worldly concept. Etzem hu behiri. Etzem is behiri. With all our discussions, when you look at the sun, what do you see? You see a fire. You don't see the principle of oir. And yet this is what the sun stands for. Etzem hu behiri. It is bright, not hot. In our mind, the brightness is the result of the heat. What was created is hot. It's fire. Fire represents itself in a bright manner, but not that the brightness is what was created. We can create brightness. God can create brightness. What does that mean? God can create brightness. We said many times, sechel, there are three different koiches, different levels in sechel, chochma, bina, v'das. And above that, the essence of sechel is altogether not sechel, it's called
Yuli.
sorry?
Yuli.
The Yuli of sechel, which is Rotzen anointing. Rotzen anointing, it is not incorrect to say, but then it needs to be elaborated. It's not incorrect to say that we understand things. You say you understand things just because this is the truth. And how do we know the truth? Because we want the truth. We appreciate the truth. We have a rotzen anointing in truth. This is how we know truth. But give us the inkling that there is such thing as truth. That is known to us in our rotzen anointing element. Truth is what we live with. Truth is not what we understand. That's in the rotzen anointing element. Sechel is a derivative of that. Sechel is not in itself true. Sechel is already a structure. But it is rooted in truth. The etzem is truth itself. Like the Rambam says, Amit is himotzei. There's a truth of his presence. The truth of his presence is not a derivative, a created presence. Let us for a moment try to focus in and identify the difference between a created truth and an essential truth. A created truth is a truth that is based on a certain composition. Let us take our worthwhile example. We said a table. A table stands quite firmly, and it makes sense to us that it should stand. Yet there is a principle that makes it stand, without which it is not going to stand. Even though the principle of the table is that there should be a board at a certain height, usable, serviceable by the person. That is the principle of table. But in fact, that board does not float there because the person need not sit there. That board is standing there because there are legs that hold it up. Therefore, no matter how well we understand the significance of this board at this level, in this place, it's inevitable that we also recognize that this board is being made to stand. It does not stand on its own truth. It cannot be said that the board purely serves the person. This is what makes it stand. It's not correct. There is something, it needs support to be able to stand. Etzem is precisely that. What it is, that is what makes it be. Since that is what makes it be, it has no concern about maintaining itself. It can be focused, listen to this, totally focused on what it stands for. The board of the table cannot be focused 100% to what it is there for. It has to be concerned to make so to maintain itself. It is not 100% what it stands for. This is what the Rebbe is saying. The oil, the way it is inside the moyer, inside the shemesh. The shemesh is bohir. This is what it stands for. The oil inside the shemesh is like the shemesh. There it is not concerned at all about its being. It is totally that which it stands for. The behirus of the shemesh. This is why, he says, it's in a much superior manner. Because it's purely what it stands for. He has no concern about the being element, the mitzias element.
Wait, light never has a concern about its being.
Yes, it does. What makes it be? It doesn't maintain itself.
It doesn't have structure or procedure, it's just speed
That's
of light,
right.
it's there.
Yeah, but because it reflects, because it's an etzem that maintains it.
It has structure and procedure. It proceeds from its source.
Because there's something that maintains it. That's like the table is not conscious of its vulnerability, but it's without the legs, it's not purely table.
So you're saying by becoming revealed it loses something.
Oh, so this is what we say. I didn't even get to that yet. Just want to explain the words that the Rebbe said before, that it is in a much greater intensity, much greater truth, when the way it is inside. B'yilu b'yesir. What b'yilu b'yesir? In a great supremacy. What's the supremacy of it? The premise of it is that there is no admixture of anything else but what it is. This is when the oil is inside the shemesh. Not only is there not a concern for its self-maintaining, it is not something that needs maintaining. It is representing the behirius of the shemesh itself, which is an essence of behirius. So something that can be freed up It's a presence, oyer, but it can be freed up completely from maintenance of its presence. It can be completely so focused on what it is about. This is what oyer inside the shemesh is. Therefore, it is oyer is a pure, completely representative of the etzem. Meho etzem. Sheho etzem hu behiri v'ho'er moyer. This is 2 lines from the bottom again. The etzem is behiri. What is behiri means? It is bright, not it shines and makes things invisible. This is its essence. Not because it has a function. It is behiri. This is how it was conceptualized, conceived by the Creator to begin with. It's a essence behiri. This is something which we cannot even begin to comprehend. Just as we cannot comprehend the principle of creation, yesh me'ayin, of everything else. Everything else that attests to a godly reality. This is exclusively Elohim. There's no worldly means of putting it in perspective. This translates later on in the fact that there is the shemesh, and then there's the oil inside the shemesh. The oil inside the shemesh is fully representative of what shemesh stands for, not of the mitzias of shemesh, or the mitzias of oil.
So is the REBBE Kedar HaShemesh more kamei ha'etzem than it is outside?
Mm-hmm. That's what the Rebbe says. Very commercial b'shemesh is mamash b'illumination. Outside it is reduced. This is what it says in Tanya. Outside the shemesh it's reduced. And the Rebbe takes pains to explain this union that it's reduced has a particular reason for it. Because normally oil is a representative of the etzem. Oil, me'ein ha'etzem, me'ein ha'moyer. Oil is true to its origin, true to what it stands for. The reason that it's true to its because oil is not produced via any kind of activity, external activity. Oil is produced by is a reflection of the presence of the etzem.
So maybe I was incorrect. It seems to me that Rebbe, when he brought up the part in Tanya, he was trying to negate two possible things that you might think from that which it brings in Tanya. One is that there's a similar aspect to the sun withholding something like a mashpia in order that it should be makabel. So we see that it's not the case. It's just this is a result of his galus, of the or taking on a presence. But the other thing it seemed that Rebbe was trying to negate was the idea that something is being held back. Because if something is held back, then isn't the obvious question, how can it be kamei ha'etzem if there is a distinction between the light before and after his galus?
This is the same thing that you said before. That's what the Rebbe says. The inyan that the oil is reduced when it comes out is not due to the process of presenting it, like a mashpia makam. There's nothing held back. The whole thing that the etzem is, this is what is produced in the oil. But because it comes, when it's produced, it gilui. Gilui already reduces the intensity of the way it is in etzem.
So it's not that the sun is holding back, but there is a distinction between the light before and after his galus.
Right.
Okay, so if there's a distinction between the light, how can we say it's kamei ha'etzem then? How could it be more kamei ha'etzem and less kamei ha'etzem? Shouldn't kamei ha'etzem just be kamei ha'etzem?
This is what the Rebbe takes pains with. Okay. That was the question. The answer. When it says not kamei ha'etzem means what is being produced is not kamei ha'etzem. If what is being produced is kamei ha'etzem, but it results on a reduced level because of the factor of its being bigilui, So then it is still representative, reflective of the Etzem. It is not that what's being created is something different than what Etzem is. The Etzem is giving its fullest. Oy meino amoyer. Etzem is good, but coming bigilui, that already by virtue of gilui, that already reduces the Oyer. Now we need to understand why gilui. This is what we have to focus on. Why gilui is an automatic reduction of the Oyer. And we have to revert far back to the words in the Maimer where Rabbi tries to explain it. And I'm going to call your attention to 4 or 5 lines from the bottom. At the end of the line, or the line beginning of the line, the Hainu she'ein b'mtzias er klal. Okay, the Hainu she'ein b'mtzias er klal. Ukshem izgala hareu mismayit. When the air is inside the moir, it is not b'mtzias air. There's no mitzius.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a simple thing to understand. There's not a mitzius of oir. There's only the fact that there is the moir. Shemizgala v'mizgala hareu mismayit. Why is mismayit? He's reduced. Hainu, which means, which is shehu b'mitzius oir al kol ponim. This Indian that it's mismayit means that it's mitzius oir al kol ponim. At the minimum, you have to admit that it's a mitzius oir. What does that mean? This is what I tried to explain earlier. Inside the Shemesh, it is concerned exclusively of being what it's meant to be. That's completely. That's the only thing that is, so to speak, in its concern. When it is his galus, it becomes a mitzias or and becomes a presence. Al kol ponim. Al kol ponim means at the minimum, even if it does not claim its own mitzias, it attributes everything to the moyer. It points to the moyer, I'm him. But al kol ponim, there's a presence. This presence is already not the purity of oil as it is in the earth. So this purity of oil is misma'id. That is what's reduced. It cannot be said that there is only the moyer here. There is the moyer and there is also the oil. Al kol ponim, that's what al kol ponim means. At the minimum, no matter how you put it, since it's bigilui, it's identifiable. Is there something there or is nothing there? The fact that there is something there already is not purely what the moyer is. So Gilui is has a direct effect of mismayit. And this whole pain is to explain that this is not due to the fact that the moyer holds something back. It's not giving its fullest. The moyer is giving its fullest in oyer. Oyer meina moyer. But the Gilui itself, automatically, the definition of Gilui is that there is something b'mitzius. Mitzius is already not moyer. This is what the word al kol ponim come out. Al kol ponim means no matter how you will negate its, so to speak, its own presence, and you will say he is all completely dedicated to bringing out the moyer. Still, al kol ponim is a mitzius. He's been mitzius.
But when the air is b'hisgalus and it's b'mitzius, so couldn't you also think that the moyer is b'mitzius?
Oh.
So until the air comes out,
wait a second. Wait a second. That's a powerful, very important point. That's what we repeat all the time. Moir is not a Metzius.
No?
No. Moir is self-made. That's an etzem.
And Atzim is not the Metzias?
No, etzem is self-made. That's what etzem. Etzem is okay. It's extremely difficult to we'll have in our own experience. We cannot produce an etzem. Is that a Metzias or not a Metzias?
No, not a Metzias.
I would say that at the point when Hashem created it, there's the Metzias.
He didn't create it. He said let it be.
Not a Metzias.
He didn't create it. It doesn't say Vayivra Elokim es ha'oir. It said let there be air. Where does this oil come from? From Malkus itself.
Okay, but I mean, so there's everything b'sheis and mebereshis.
So, no. If she says Bereshit, say Vayivra.
Doesn't say Vayibra by any of it.
He says everywhere Vayivra. Now so many people say Vayivra. Everything says Vayivra. But here it says Vayim Elokim ihi oir. Let there be oir. Because the principle of oil is not a worldly principle. The principle of oil is stating one thing, one simple statement. World is a divine creation. You don't know it when you look at world, but when you put oil in it, that it reveals that this is divine creation. I can mention all the time that in a home, when you have a home, a setting, you have all kinds of different functional things, wonderful things. And it all tells you this is all wonderful thing that's going on, it's all human. The most important nikuda in this is that there is an balabayis, that there's an owner. There's somebody who conceptualizes this. This conceptualization is superior to all the things that you observe. If you do not realize that this is a home of a human being, you only see its functional, you see all the beautiful things, but you're missing the whole point. The whole element is the superior element of this. And when it becomes begilui, it loses a certain sense of this. Because it's a concept, it's conceptualized in the human being. The human being, the owner himself, does not think in terms of, oh, I have a blanket, I have a table. But somebody who is looking at it from the side and sees it from the Metzias, he says he has a table and a blanket. He has all the supporting elements for a human being. But that's not what the home is about. We said many times in the past, an interesting phenomenon that we experience. To sleep in your own home on a cot, you'll get a better night's sleep than to sleep on a cushion mattress in a hotel.